Hello everyone and welcome to Let's All Game. I'm your host Sayino, and with me as always is Naylock.
Hey!
It is August 19th, 2016, and we're here to bring you the news. Let's get right to it. So after a week of Gamescom, we've gotten a lot of more news here from a lot of different games and stuff like that. First one up is Warhammer, right? 40K, which I'm a huge fan of. But Warhammer 40,000 Eternal Crusade was in development for PS4 and Xbox One, but it's been halted. Luckily, it does come out for PC next month, but they really didn't explain why it was being halted. Bandai and Namco are the ones that are publishing it, and the game's been on Steam Early Access for a while, but right now I think it's about $40, and I guess maybe they're trying to figure out how they're going to get this to work on PS4 and Xbox One. There's also some MMO elements with this game if you're not familiar with it. It lets you take place in PvP and PvE battles across 4 different factions, which are the Space Marines, the Chaos Space Marines, the Orcs, and the Eldar. So, first off, Naylock, are you a fan of Warhammer 40k?
A lot of the games I've played have been fun, but I don't follow it that closely.
Yeah, Warhammer 40k, just, you know, there is Warhammer and then there is Warhammer 40k. Warhammer is the fantasy version, you know, more like Warcraft, which is what Warcraft actually was created from. And Warhammer 40k is basically what StarCraft was made from. It's the sci-fi version of that. So it's kind of a bummer, but hey, at least it'll be on PC and it'll be playable there. Now, that doesn't mean that the Xbox One and PS4 versions have been canceled. They've just been held on from their September 23rd release date. So do you have anything else on that, Naylock? I mean, are you bummed by it, or did you just wasn't even on your radar?
I've heard about it, but them saying it's not going to be on console just makes me worry that it's not going to be polished enough to get by the publishing standards that the console set up.
I mean, they could be trying to get ready for the new console versions, like the Neo and the Scorpio or something like. Who knows, right? But yeah, that's where it's at.
Or just want to stop worrying about it. It's like, let's just make it work on the PC and we'll worry about it later.
Yeah, exactly.
Which isn't unheard of.
Yep. All right. Next up, Zelda Breath of the Wild takes top award at Gamescom, which is really a fantastic show for Nintendo there. I also wanted to kind of go over a few other notable awards as well. We had Best PS4 game was For Honor, which I'm really looking forward to. Best Xbox One game was Sea of Thieves. Best Wii U game was, of course, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Best PC game was also For Honor. Best role-playing game, Final Fantasy 15, which I think everybody's very excited for. Let's see here. Best action game, Battlefield 1. And best hardware, this was a surprise, PlayStation VR. And
wow.
Yeah, again, the best of Gamescom was The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. So let's talk about those for a little bit here. So For Honor, are you familiar with that game?
No. I've heard of it, but I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, so imagine like a Dynasty Warriors type thing, but much more tactical. You're not just like running your blade through a bunch of people. You have to really think about, like, imagine if Age of Conan with the blocking from certain directions and countering from certain directions was applied to Dynasty Warriors. That's kind of what it's like. It's like a rock, paper, scissors type thing when you're doing combat. And it looks incredible. Obviously, it's won awards for a reason, and I'm really excited about that. How about Zelda Breath of the Wild? What are your... Well, I mean, just looking at the footage that they had at E3, it was blown away. A lot of people... Like, that game is much more than anyone ever thought it was going to be. It's like Dark Souls, the Zelda game. What's kind of, are you excited for any of the things that we talked about or that won awards at this show?
From what I've seen of Zelda, I saw people pointing out that in combat, like, the hitboxes are accurate. Like, you weren't just, it was like super accurate. It wasn't just like, oh, something hit you in your general area, so you got hit. It like had to hit Link directly,
right?
And people were like losing their mind over this.
Well, I mean, there was also like different weather effects. Like if you were went into a cold environment, Link would literally like start shivering and not be able to move forward without putting on a special tunic. And a lot of the physics that were included with the Breath of the Wild as you're playing it, it's probably one of their best titles ever, I think, of across all of their series.
Yeah, it looks good. I'm glad the art style they took with it. I never really dug the whole Wind Waker system, but this looks awesome.
Well, it is still cel shaded, but it's not as bad as the Wind Waker thing was. Which actually, I loved Wind Waker. It's actually one of my favorite games, and I'm glad they released it on the Wii U. Alrighty, moving right along. Our next story is how Star Citizen is kind of riding the tail of No Man's Sky. What I mean by that is they're trying to explain or show that, hey, Star Citizen still exists. We're still a thing here. And yeah, No Man's Sky is great, but we're going to do way more than what they're just doing, right? So first off, I know you were really excited for Star Citizen. What's your opinion of where it's at right now? They're just coming up with their update 3.0, and that's looking to add a lot of stuff. But what are your feelings on where it's at, how its development has gone, and what they've promised and delivered on?
I actually, I don't even know what they call it at this point. I am a contributor or something. I paid them money, and I was able to pay or play a version of the game. And it's exactly what I hate about what these people that obsess over space sims. It's like, so I always compare it to being a engineer on Star Trek or something. It's like, no, dude, I just want to fly the ship and shoot stuff. But no, you got to manage all types of stuff when you're flying. And it's like, there's all these super physics in the landing and you're in a heat distribution and all this other stuff. I hate it so much.
Yeah,
I see why other people like it, but I hate it. And then by that same token, that's why people don't like No Man's Sky, because it's, oh, you just get in a ship and you shoot stuff. That's the idea.
I mean, the thing with Star Citizen is it's like a whole nother existence. You know, it's you could be playing. At one moment you're playing a first-person shooter, the next moment you're doing a flight simulator, the next moment you're playing a role-playing game. In like some kind of weird town hub, you're walking around doing whatever. It's got so much thrown into it. It's crazy. And it's not to say like
there's a lot to it.
Right. I can say that same thing about No Man's Sky, but the thing about No Man's Sky is it's a condensed version. When we're talking about how Star Citizen is doing it, it is got so much depth. It's ridiculous. I mean, the first person shooter is like, that's like a whole different game. All the depth that comes with the first person shooter game, that's there. But with No Man's Sky, it's literally, you're in the first person perspective and you happen to have a weapon that mines and shoots things at the same time, right? Then you have the flight sim, which No Man's Sky is not a flight sim. You're just in space and you're able to fly. But in Star Citizen, you better know how to freaking operate the shit that you're running, or you're gonna, have a bad time.
Getting a new ship isn't just, everything's better. It's like, now I got to relearn to fly a ship,
right?
Like, because it's a different type of ship.
Yeah, and there's you have like 2-player ship. Star Citizen is very much a MMO in that sense, whereas No Man's Sky is just an online experience where you're mainly playing by yourself. It's 2 very different games, and Star Citizen has every right to say, hey, we're still here. But imagine like playing GTA and then going into Call of Duty and then playing Elite Dangerous, right? Like that's Star Citizen in a nutshell. They're throwing everything they can at this. I mean, there's hover bikes, for Christ's sake, whenever you're on a planet and stuff. Like there's a ton of stuff here, but
well, I see it as a comparison. When you were telling me about it, it reminded me of when I was playing Earth and Beyond, which I was like super into, but then the EA sunsetted it because they were focusing on The Sims or something. And people were like, hey, come play EVE Online. It's also a space game, so maybe you'll like that. I was like, no, it's completely different.
Right.
There is no lateral move between what Earth and Beyond was and EVE Online was. It's like, no, Earth and Beyond was like, oh, there's this little tutorial and there's like very simple storyline, and you know, you had your ship and it guided you through your upgrades. And EVE Online is just like, here you go. And especially back then, it was like, here you go. Good luck.
Yeah.
Here's your ship.
The closest thing I can compare it to is what Star Wars Galaxies was, right? Like you could, you know, when they added jump to light speed and you were in space, right? You could have those multiple piloted ships. Like you would have a pilot and you would have gunners, and it would have to be real players. Well, Star Citizen is doing that same thing, right? But the moment you landed back on a planet, then you were playing the regular game. It was, you know, an MMO. You were going to cities, there was story and all that. But it's hard to describe what Star Citizen is because it's such a huge undertaking. You know, they're aiming for, I think it was 100 solar systems. You know, each has like 5 planets with their own moons and all that stuff, which when you compare it to No Man's Sky, nowhere near that, but it doesn't really matter at that point. You know, that's still a lot of planets. That's still a lot of land to go to. And it's I have to applaud them because they're finally starting to get somewhere with Star Citizen. But for a while there was nothing happening, and it was kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's just the only thing that bothered me when I actually played it was they don't have any sort of ease of learning curve on it yet. It just reminded me of EVE Online when I first started trying to play that, like, I don't know, 10 years ago at this point.
Yeah.
It's like, good luck.
Yeah, exactly. Moving right along, Titanfall 2 multiplayer beta is now live on PS4 and Xbox One. For those who aren't familiar with Titanfall, because it was mainly on Xbox One and PC, it's basically Call of Duty with giant mechs. A lot of people from Infinity Ward left, made their own team, made Titanfall, and now they're making Titanfall 2, which is going to be on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. The beta test is going on right now, so if you're interested in playing that, you can certainly do that if you got an early access key anyway. And then I think without an access key, you'll have to wait until this weekend. I actually think it's going on, and so until the 21st, and then next weekend there's another beta test from August 26th to the 28th. So just, you know, go to the website, sign up, get your key. You'll be all good. As far as
free,
I believe so. Yes. As far as the modes that are available, you have Bounty Hunt, which is 5-on-5, Pilots versus Pilots, which is 8-on-8. That's the classic no mechs. Amped Hardpoint, that's 6v6. That's only during the second beta test, though. And then you have 3 maps. You have Boomtown, Homestead, and Forward Base Coda. But the Forward Base Coda is only available for the second beta test. So yeah, they decided to skip the PC because they haven't yet optimized the game. And again, this is why we hate developing games on PC. Titanfall 2 launches on October 28th for PS4, Xbox One, and PC. And they also have exclusive DLC that you can get by drinking a bunch of stuff or getting snacks or whatever, especially marked packages inside your stores. But
what?
Yeah, they have DLC.
Oh, it's like Mountain Dew and Doritos or something?
Yeah, exactly. You know how this whole thing goes. So, are you excited about Titanfall at all?
Not really. I don't usually play those type of games. Titanfall, Call of Duty, you know, the pure FPS games. I go to them from time to time, but I don't spend hundreds of hours on them. Right.
I mean, like, it's. I guess I'll try it. You know, I'll try playing it. I'll see how it is. I don't know if it's really going to be something I'll stick with. I did play Counter-Strike Source competitively back in the day for the CALs and CPLs, but I mean, shooters just don't really do it for me anymore. You know, it's the same thing. I'm literally doing the same thing. I think Doom was the first one to really move away from that. It kind of made me, you know, gave me a different feeling of how to play a game. But yeah, these sort of Call of Duty, Counter-Strike style games, they're all just kind of blend together, and I'm kind of done with it. All right, moving right along. And this one's a little close to home for me and Naylock, so you'll have to forgive us for even talking about this. But former H1Z1 developers joined John Smedley's Pixelmage Games. So John Smedley, he was the president of Sony Online Entertainment. He left. Sony Online Entertainment became Daybreak Games. I think he either left before or after. The timeline there.
It was after.
Well, technically.
Not even that. It was, he was there when they became Daybreak. And then it was short, like not even a year after he left. It was like months. Yeah. He's like, I'm taking I'm consulting, then I'm leaving.
Yeah.
It was something like he's going to go on hiatus, and then he's like, he's not coming back, and he started his own company.
it was the timeline there. You know, who knows when that decision was actually made, but that's politics behind the scenes.
Well, yeah, I'm talking about what we saw.
Right,
he
the public
kicked out.
Yeah.
So
H1Z1 was a game that it's like a zombie survival MMO, and a lot of the developers at Daybreak Games have left that were working on H1Z1 have left Daybreak Games and have gone to join John Smedley at Pixelmage. Now that's really cool because, you know, the thing about John Smedley is he cared about the people that worked with him, right? And me and Naylock know a lot of those people personally. You know, it was, and
they're all gone from Daybreak now.
Yeah.
All the ones I know.
There was a ton of layoffs from SOE, right? I had worked with them on a number of games, right? With Mac ports and stuff like that. Naylock has done tons of, raid adjustments and item creations and all that stuff for EverQuest 2.
Lots of QA.
Yeah. We are very close to John Smedley and SOE, and then when Daybreak took over, I'm just gonna say it. I don't care. I'm just gonna say it. It has gone to shit. All their games have totally gone to shit. There's no support anymore. They're closing down all the things that kind of made Sony Online Entertainment what it was. It's like just a soulless husk of a corporation now. And it's nice to see that Smedley founded Pixelmage Games. And they're working on a new game called Heroes Song, which is a sandbox open action RPG, which is planned for October.
Well, it's I forget what they call it, top-down 2D type thing.
Right.
Kind of like, oh man,
it's an isometric
I'm not going to be able to remember.
Isometric.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't care what they're working on. I'm just glad that they're working on games again, you know, because I'm
interested to see it, especially if they, you know, I'd love to. It's all the ideas they had that they couldn't do. And since it's not like graphically intensive, they might be able to get away with a lot of it a lot easier without having to, you know, worry about crazy amount of art assets.
Yeah. I mean, they're on an indie mentality right now, which I think is perfect. But yeah, I mean, is there anything else you kind of wanted to say about any of the news stories that we had today?
No, I had said all I had to say.
All right. So do look forward to some of the fresh looks that we have coming this weekend and a quick look as well. This weekend we are covering APB Reloaded. That's All Point Bulletin Reloaded. We also have PlanetSide 2 and Riders of Icarus or something like that. What is it?
I believe that's what it's called.
Yeah. Riders of Icarus.
Yes, Riders of Icarus.
Yeah. So PlanetSide 2 and APB Reloaded are our fresh looks. Riders of Icarus is our quick look. And definitely look forward to that. So for Naylock, I'm saying, we're Let's All Game. Thank you for watching. And we'll see you on Monday. You have a good weekend. Take care.